Star Trek: The Next Generation was a show. Star Trek: The Next Generation. Everybody I interacted with. A show that I started watching when I was a really little kid. Can you believe it's been 30 years? Star Trek: The Next Generation first.
Star Trek: The Next Generation was my life.
I really grew up with this show.
My relationship to how I should conduct myself. It was the escape from reality. Welcome to Next Generation's First Generation, where Patrick Delmore and Sascha Schaudies take a look back into their favorite childhood show, Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is where we attempt to reconcile how we felt as children watching the show and looking back as old farts now in our late 30s, almost 40s. Social commentary and good old-fashioned shade-throwing on our favorite and least favorite episodes. Here comes Patrick and Sascha.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 17th episode of the third season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, which we are covering here on Next Generation's First Generation. We got a foursome covering this episode. All the way on the other side of the room, on my right side, we've got Matt.
Hey!
Then you got our regular co-host, Sascha.
Hello!
And wrapping up the group, we have Jem.
Yay! She's awesome!
And coming off of an episode about Data's family from last time, we were going to look at an episode about Worf's family.
Oh, and boy, you want to talk about family drama.
Yep.
It's made for space opera.
Yep. That's why Worf is the most used character in all of televised Star Trek.
I don't know why. Every time you say space opera, I think of that scene in The Fifth Element.
Oh, yeah, with the blue lady
It's a
singing.
literal space opera.
Can you imagine how well she would have been able to sing if she didn't have rocks in her tummy?
Can you imagine how well Bruce Willis would have done in Die Hard: The Next Generation?
It could still happen.
Yeah, they tried that. It failed miserably.
Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. Queue up your favorite DVD, viewing cube, or whatever it is you use to assimilate Next Generation. We're gonna give you the countdown. Here it comes. 5, 4, 3, 2, and play. Oh, toe-to-toe, two ships never meet toe-to-toe like that.
Looks like a frog.
Yeah, you couldn't. Physically, you couldn't do that.
It'd be very difficult.
Yeah.
You'd have to both be at the same speed. Even at zero speed, you're still drifting. So,
I always,
unless they had mooring beams.
if you don't want to read a good science fiction book that uses real physics for stuff like that, Anthem by Neil Stephenson.
Or it could just be one of those, you see them walking and Riker's just like, your captain's like, how come you always make Wesley try to park the ship right in front of the other? I don't know, gives him something to do.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is a throwback to a Season 1 or Season 2 episode?
Season 2.
Season 2, where Riker goes to become a guest.
Candyman.
Yeah. Riker is a guest first in command on a Klingon vessel, and now the Klingons are returning the favor and sending Mr. Kern here. Is that his name? His real name?
Yeah.
Kern?
May I take my station, sir? I thought I might show you to your quarters first.
How can they notice that the transporter chief didn't mention that he had a disruptor pistol on his hip?
It's his duty weapon.
But normally when they do it, they say, we've detected a weapon in transit.
Yeah, but
so
not
you don't
for...
just beam an armed person in front of the captain.
True, but he's an ally.
But they do it with Starfleet personnel too when they transport them up, like with Data. A few episodes, we detected a weapon in transport.
I find it very ironic that the KDF is Klingon Defense Force. There's nothing defensive about what the Klingons do.
By all personnel while I am in command. It is my intention.
So he's giving the here I am briefing.
I love that he has relieved Riker of duty, but Riker gets to hang around.
Yeah, he's the mentor.
Riker didn't have somebody doing this for him on the Klingon ship.
That ship had a vacancy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? Just tell Riker to stay in his quarters?
Knowing Riker, yeah, I would have. I would have been like, we'll tell you all about it when it's over. You could have your sexy women playing flutes machine on. Have Has some extra holodeck rations.
You know, Kern's actually doing a really good job at anticipating human behavior.
Yeah.
I like how he slouches in the chair.
Well, it's the standard know your enemy thing, so they've probably studied, like he said before this mission, I studied up on you guys.
Yep.
So where's Troy?
Somewhere else.
Yeah, she's in her office.
Because, like,
Troy knows better.
Little Riker's in her chair.
Yeah. Well, when Riker sits up, she'll probably come in. I don't actually think we see Troy in this episode.
It was interesting
Yeah,
how
we do.
Kern shared a look with Riker, like, ugh, you're a human.
Yeah.
And did you notice that Kern completely avoided all eye contact with Worf, and physically, like, his body language avoided Worf, like even facing him or acknowledging that he was there. He did step around him when he went up and over the top part of the bridge there by the Worf station, but he's just kind of like, oh,
Worf didn't really acknowledge him. Sort of.
Worf's touchy about other Klingons. Worf's kind of like an unsocialized dog when it comes to other Klingons.
Yeah.
He's just like, are we gonna fight or are we gonna be pals? What's going on? You know.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's one of those, I know I'm a Klingon and you're a Klingon, but I'm not 100% sure how I'm supposed to react or what you're supposed to do, or if you're kidding or you're not kidding.
Yeah, he's kind of got to have a few moments with the other Klingon to size up the situation, and then usually it's pretty cool either way.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining like two gay Klingons meeting at like Starfleet Academy, and the one guy's like, "Look, man, I know you're a Klingon and I'm a Klingon, but that doesn't mean that I want to, Klingon."
What's the Klingon version of Grindr? That's what I want to know.
We also call it Grinder.
So we totally just giggled over the intro.
Yeah.
This is Season 3, Episode 17, Sons of Our Father, directed by Les Landau, story by Drew Deegan, teleplays by Ronald Moore and Ree Morin. This came out in March 19th, 1990, so if you know anything about anything, it's springtime. Almost.
Yep.
The birdies are coming out.
This is the second episode that I've seen this really pretty green liquid, and I want to know what it is.
Oh, antifreeze.
It's like,
it really?
yeah.
No.
Oh.
Riker's like, Wesley, you don't have a radar for whether or not people like you or not. Your instinct on that is broken.
I was gonna say, if you do, it's not
Yeah.
working.
But please continue sitting across from me. I really enjoy the company. Oh, thanks, Commander.
Gee willikers, I get to sit with you.
So here's the problem. They're both Wesley and Geordi are complaining to Riker about what a hard ass Kern is, and Riker pretty much has to say, "Hey, that's his job. You're gonna have to listen to him now. I don't have control over this."
Except the one guy who wouldn't really mind it.
It's like, yeah, you guys are all in my inner circle. Like, I would pretty much guarantee you everybody else serving on this ship thinks that Riker's a hard ass too.
You know, that so happened to me. In my last job, I was a supervisor, and while we were in the getting to know you phase, people were calling up the old supervisor, still asking for instructions on what's going on, and they had to say, "No, you got to listen to Sascha now."
Yeah.
It's I've stepped out of this situation, and he's the boss, and that's very much the case here. Oh, and Kern is being way too polite to Worf. It's patronizing.
He's trying to provoke. We find out later, though. He's trying to provoke him. He's
the-
doing a very good job of doing it.
This is the worst wig era for Worf right here. Where he's basically got Oompa Loompa hair.
He does.
Well, we'll learn real soon that Kern has an agenda. As always, nothing's ever easy in Star Trek.
Or in Klingon.
Captain's best? Yes. Resume.
Oh, this is the Thanksgiving meal episode.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Guess who's there?
Captain Smith.
Counselor Troy.
Oh.
There we go.
She was busy making the food.
When I served aboard the Pa.
Woman, you are not needed here. Go make us a feast.
And adapting to the demands of the crew.
And yet you didn't, Riker.
Yeah, no, he did. He just punched a couple of people and took a punch.
At the very end. But for the most of the time, he was just sitting there, the butt of everybody's jokes.
I think it's funny that Geordi was basically like complaining about authority.
Oh yeah.
Well, he doesn't strike me as somebody that would complain about authority.
I'm complaining Riker because again, it's just, it's Riker and Wesley. This is why I cried. But when he didn't go to Captain Picard, he went to Riker and Wesley. Picard, he would just be like, "No, sir, we're doing everything you need, sir."
Yeah.
There's the Thanksgiving meal.
That overcooked turkey.
Yeah, I was like, that looks very dry right there.
You've got to look at the whole spread, though. This is a huge meal for, 6 people.
You do understand that we cook most of our foods.
So this room they just said this is the captain's mess, which it looks like it's the set for the what is it? The conference room.
Yeah, it's essentially what it is, probably.
Allow you to sample a variety of dishes, Commander.
Try some caviar.
What did Riker have to do? He had to eat all Klingon food, so this is perfectly appropriate.
No, and that's why they're serving it to him. But
of a large scale,
Kern just obviously didn't eat human food ahead of time like Riker did.
Honestly, I thought that Kern would be into caviar because it's raw eggs.
What surprises me is that
it's been fermented.
This food isn't replicated. This is food that Picard got a hold of.
I think only the
caviar.
The caviar is.
Look at that new table. That's a nice table.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! They should use that as the conference room table.
Are you adjusting to your new environment, Commander?
And where would the captain eat?
Well, they called this the captain's mess, if you recall.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's not the captain's mess. That's the observation lounge.
It's the same set, but yeah.
A lot of the rooms on a ship like this are going to look pretty much the same.
Yeah, any outer hall with a window, large room is going to look like the conference room.
They redressed Troy's quarters to be Crusher's quarters when they want to show.
Yeah,
Crusher's
because again, they're uniform type of quarters. You just change them to quarter. It's a military ship, so.
I love how they've got the curtain in the background there, just kind of covering the removed wall to make it look bigger.
I like seeing. Oh, well, never mind. I was going to say I like seeing the difference between Worf and Kern, where Kern just dove in with his hands first. Now he's eating with silverware, but Worf is eating very, delicately with his silverware.
Food is much more tasty. While I'm sure this is well prepared, it is much too bland.
He's actually doing a pretty good job of being polite.
Yeah.
Even though he's being super passive aggressive to Worf.
Yes.
If Worf wasn't there and he was acting the same way, I'd be like, he gets it.
Yeah,
he gets it. I mean, he doesn't have to like it, but he gets it.
They do that in Star Trek 6 where they're handing out the stuff, and all the Klingons are like, the hell's a napkin? What is this? they're looking down, they're like, ugh. And then they notice everybody else, like, oh, it's they drop it on their lap, and like, whatever. A little weird.
So who called whom here?
Worf came to visit
I have questions
Kern.
I wish to pose. Are your quarters so comfortable? They serve me.
Actually, I got a few pain sticks attached to the toilet.
I have this weird chair with a bunch of knobbly ends, keeps moving around.
Relaxation. It is not the ship.
These quarters would actually be nicer than Worf's.
Not the ship.
Yeah.
Because he holds the rank of first officer. And so you'd have like ensigns and lieutenant junior grades would have one level of quarters. Full lieutenants and lieutenant commanders would have another airblades. And then captain and commander would have the largest cabins.
In the lower decks, didn't they have bunk beds?
Yeah. And so that's the thing. And enlisted would bump together. Enlisted and junior officers usually had roommates. And so it wasn't until you were a full lieutenant that you would get your own room.
Yeah. Well, even in Discovery, Burnham and Tilly roomed together.
Yeah, and then again, when those ships were smaller in stature, there's 1,000 people on here.
So Worf's calling Kern out on saying, why are you being so a dick to me, basically? Why are you being not a Klingon?
Perhaps your blood has thinned in this environment.
And here comes the classic, Worf, you may look like a Klingon, but you're a human on the inside.
Yeah, you've been human-washed. Instead of whitewashed, you've been human-washed.
It seems like every time Worf meets a Klingon, he has this conversation.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
I was just thinking that.
Only until he joins the House of Martog does that finally go away.
And at this point, the Klingons assume that's what he wants. They're very clear about that. They're like, you chose Starfleet. You chose to separate from this society, and we thought that's what you wanted. You coming back here like he's going to do is not what we had planned, and again...
It was decided that
we thought you'd agree with that.
Yep.
So the big reveal is Kurn is Worf's younger brother.
That he didn't know about.
The Starfleet officer that rescued me was told by the Klingon High Command that I had no living relatives. They assumed that I was killed with the family at Kitchener.
Or, this goes into the cover-up of, it's not too hard to find out if Worf has a brother or not. Even Klingons kept familial records. In fact, Klingons are obsessive about who's in what family and who serves who.
But again, they thought he was dead. They revealed that Worf doesn't remember it, but his record would have shown that, they told his adoptive parents that
he had a brother and he died in the attack.
Or that there were no survivors.
Or they just didn't want any connections, so it's like, okay, if Worf's going to be adopted by the humans, we want no connections. So, we're gonna give him no reason to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw this episode when it came out. I was not able to follow it at all. What had happened here?
Well, what happened here was not only did Kurn reveal that he's the brother, he revealed Kurn and Worf have the same problem, is that their biological father is a traitor, and they've got to clear the name.
Suspected.
I do not know, Captain. I will hear the evidence when
Well, there's no suspected in Klingon law. It's either you are or you aren't, and you have to prove your innocence.
Our family name.
And it seems like your innocence has to do with posturing and popularity rather than an influence.
It's a caste system. The Klingons have the same caste system, and they explore that in Deep Space Nine too. And so you have noble houses, you have lesser houses, and then you have the people who work for the houses. And and it's like a feudal system basically. It's, I'm in service to the landowner or the house of this. And, you had title and nobility. They talk about Worf's being later on that they retcon it that Worf is related to a former Chancellor of the High Council. That's from Worf's bloodline, and that it was always thought that someday he would have, if he'd stayed Klingon, would have elevated to the High Council.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would know that.
I missed it. So what's the challenge? They're talking about some challenge that...
So there's a legal challenge that Worf has to make. Since he's the older brother, he's the head of the house.
He's going to contest the charges.
And so, he's going to go contest the charges, but
Picard won't let him.
To a point. So the risk is death. There's nothing in the middle for Klingons.
Yeah, it's like either you succeed and your honor is restored, or we kill you.
Yeah. So Worf's saying, hey, let me go take care of this family issue, and Picard says, no, I'm coming with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is really a first for Picard. You never see him reach outside the ship like that, personally. With the exception of Wesley.
But
how many of their officers had their family accused of a capital crime?
Yeah.
Almost everyone.
And, require them to go that or face death.
When Geordi is all wanting to find, his parents that have supposedly disappeared, Picard's like, no, the record says they disappeared, Geordi. Not going on that adventure.
You will not.
Geordi wasn't as much of an outcast as Worf. So.
Yeah.
Perhaps your human values cloud your judgment.
So Worf is constantly having to defend himself.
And I obey. In council chambers, You are my Chadich.
Chadich. Oh yeah, so they're going to keep it a secret that they're brothers. Yeah. And so his younger brother is going to be the lawyer, the Chadich. Which is interesting because Picard gets involved, but I can't remember how. Is it after the discovery that they're brothers?
No, it's right. It's right when he makes the challenge that basically they're saying it doesn't have any teeth to it, and Picard steps in and says, "Yes, it does, because I'm here with him." And it's an enormous frustration because the reason that they laid this out like this is that there's like a couple of people that know what happened, and it had nothing to do with Worf's parents, but they're dead. Worf's in Starfleet.
It's interesting that Riker is there too, so who's running the ship right now?
Data.
Oh.
And like 1,000 other people.
Well, yeah, but who's in command?
Data.
Oh, yeah, Data.
Second officer.
So we are in a Great Hall. I don't know if this is the Great Hall.
No.
They're not on Kronos. They're just somewhere else.
No, they're on Kronos.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they said that this is one of the outposts of the Klingon Empire.
No, they said make course for the first city of the Klingon Empire. That's Kronos. They're not on some random outpost.
I think they meant the closest, not as in the first. Not
the first city is the capital. Is what they call the capital city.
Okay.
That's the Great Hall. The Chancellor is there. The High Council is there.
Okay. So, Star Trek has always really loved using these matte oil paintings. I wish they'd stop. I mean, they're cool for the first couple of seasons, but model work is so much more fun.
I thought it looked really cool.
You like the matte paintings?
Yeah, well, I don't remember seeing another matte oil painting to represent a world. So I guess that's the first time that I remember seeing it.
Do a throwback to the original series.
Okay.
They do a lot of that, and for me, it really took away the realism. I mean, it is nice; they are pretty, but it's kind of like how bad does the makeup have to be before you stop believing that they're an alien?
Well, here's the funny thing: is that I was about to say that's really nice model work there until you said it was a painting. So
yeah. Well, they do integrated animation, so you saw.
Yeah, we also have a matte
video.
painting behind a little model or something.
Gotcha.
And so they had a person walking along the integrated video.
But I mean, it's just too bad that, in the 20 years these were on, they really didn't differentiate a lot from the cities. I mean, Cardassia, whenever you see it, looks a lot like somewhere on the Klingon homeworld. And,
Redressed.
yeah. Romulus looks a little bit different, but you only ever see Romulus the one time.
Mm-hmm. So they're laying down the terms. Picard's using his speaking voice. That's Kempek sitting on the chair.
I'm sorry, what about his speaking voice?
He's using his big man voice.
I was going to say, what is it because he's in Klingon territory and that's how they speak?
Yeah, you have to kind of posture a little bit more aggressively. And especially because he's a human, he's got twice as much to prove. But they're laying down. This is Doros talking right here, basically acting as the prosecutor.
Where the expression kowtow comes from is actually a dance that the Chinese make foreigners perform in order to be able to address the court.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea. So they want to avenge the deaths of this ambushed space station. And it's interesting how they say nothing about the Enterprise B saving the Kittimer outpost. Which we just talked about.
See, that wasn't Kittimer.
That wasn't
Kittimer. Oh, it was somewhere else?
That was Narendra 3.
Yeah, it was a distress call from the Klingons.
My bad.
Yeah.
And that would come much later than the Kittimer.
That was a terrible stage strike.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
for a Klingon.
Especially when you have those kind of like pointy things on the back of your hand, you think when you slap somebody with that, it would draw a little blood.
Well, he's been stripped of his house name.
It is a good day to die, Doris.
What would happen if Duras became Chancellor? We're really laying down a lot of the political arcs here in this episode.
It's not like we've seen the last of the Duras family after this episode.
Yeah.
It's one of the few storylines that actually continues into the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a Klingon, why didn't he just beat the crap out of him for being stripped?
Because it's his position to be publicly defrauded.
He's not allowed. They mentioned that earlier. That you got when you so his Chadich is not his lawyer.
Okay.
That's not his job.
It's an advocate.
It's not his advocate either. His job is to pay. Worf is not allowed to fight anybody.
Oh.
And so, if somebody were to say he's like hanging out in the lobby, and someone come up and said, "I'm going to kill you, Worf," Worf's not allowed to pick up a weapon and defend himself. He has to have somebody who fights on his behalf. Because he's not allowed like honor killings, or it's basically to prevent him from doing honor killings or anything like that. So
did you know that Tony Todd here, that's Kern, I think also played some other characters in Star Trek too.
Tony Todd gets around with a
he really does.
big deal character.
he plays old Jake Sisko in Deep Space Nine.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
And he's probably played a Jem'Hadar too. I mean, everybody who played a Klingon eventually played a Jem'Hadar.
And he did. He was in the Star Trek II Elite Force video game. And he was in the video game Klingon Honor Guard in Star Trek Online. And he was also in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Look at that.
He's been in a number. He was in a play out here in Seattle. Oh, a long time ago, I saw him about the old jitney cabs.
Yeah, they're bringing that back this year.
Oh, really?
Yep. I want to go see that.
Well, he was really good in that. And I remembered him. I saw that play, and I was really thrilled to see it because I remembered him as being Worf's brother.
Yeah.
From Star Trek. And it was the first time that I made a coalition, on my own of an actor, hey, that's a Star Trek actor guy doing something other than Star Trek. Mm-hmm. So I'd never really seen a Star Trek actor really do anything other than Star Trek.
My family.
Or at least realize that I was seeing it on my own.
Yeah, Jitney by August Wilson. So that's what that play was.
Yeah, and that was really, really good. It was at Seattle Repertory.
Yeah.
And I would actually go and see that again when it comes back, because that was a...
So that's Kempek right there. And that's played by a guy named Charles Cooper, who also does other Klingons, like in Star Trek V, he was one of the generals. But I think that Kempek that he played is actually played by a different actor in the final episode where we see Kempek.
Huh.
I don't know about that. He looks pretty similar.
Yeah, you think?
Memory Alpha would tell you that.
I don't cheat.
Okay.
I pull all this from memory.
Huh.
Right. Oh. So, dark alley meeting.
It's an ambush.
What's going on?
Was right.
So why would you even put a terminal? This is like a random place you would put a computer terminal.
Yeah.
See that spooky alley over there? Let's put a phone booth in it.
Is there an ATM somewhere near here? Yeah, it's in this kiosk under the bridge.
Yeah.
And there's no lights on the stairs going down there.
So Duras is revealing that he knows who Kern is.
We shall see. Worf has made a choice, and he will die for it. You can still be safe.
Oh, Kern's looking for a backdoor deal.
Stand alone. He's my brother.
You mean Duras is?
Oh, did I say Kern?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Then you shall die together.
You will die for him.
Oh, die for him. Yeah, same difference. Enter the assassins.
Oh, this is just a redressed Jeffries tube from the Enterprise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, no, Enterprise didn't come out then.
I mean from the Enterprise.
Oh,
like the current Enterprise,
oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Let's just turn the lights down and add some smoke.
Well, that's the same corridor that our soldier guy put a phaser in.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
The Jeffries tube.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing from the Enterprise there. Mm-hmm. My thing is if you're going to go and kill another Klingon, why do you bring only a knife? Why don't you bring a bat'leth?
Well, because he was carrying a ceremonial knife of an assassin, is what he just said. So there might have been
assassinate you, but we're going to do it with ceremony.
Well, think
pageantry.
If it's a culture based off of rules, if I just sent someone to kill you, that might be against the law, but if I hired an assassin to kill you, that might be illegal.
That's actually supposed to, they talk about that earlier. Later, they said that's actually even less. Is to not kill somebody, your own enemy, yourself, is considered dishonorable.
To the Romulan ship.
So you're not man enough to come and face me. You're gonna pay some guy to do it for you.
They do correspond to Moog's personal security code. How can we be sure?
So Data's doing some computer forensics here from the logs of a destroyed space station 30 years ago.
But the Intrepid was at the edge of sensor range during the attack, and we cannot be certain if the scan was complete.
Here's what gets me is they're able to piece together in a matter of hours something that they couldn't. It's like, oh, we figured out the mystery that's been a mystery for 30 years.
But it's
not them only 5 minutes.
But they didn't. The whole thing of it is the Klingons didn't want to look into this. The Klingons found a very pat answer to handle it. They're like, Worf won't be a problem. He's in Starfleet because, surprise, surprise, it turns out it was Duros's father that did this. But the Duras family is, so powerful and so beyond reproach that the truth can't ever get out.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of this, they have a hell of a conspiracy going on because now, 5 people know it. Whereas to begin with, it was just Duras and Kempek were the only 2 that knew it. So it wasn't technically a conspiracy yet, because only a conspiracy when a third person knows.
The Duras always reminded me of the Kennedys. Just tragic things happen to that whole family.
It was impossible to believe I was hearing a Klingon speak. Obviously, they did not expect and never wanted this challenge. Getting close to something.
They were hoping that Worf would tuck tail because, he's an outsider. We can peg everything on him.
Yeah, and Kern thought about that for a little bit too. That's why he came to the Enterprise to test Worf. To find out, is Worf going to be like, oh, well, that sucks? Or is he going to actually...
They really thought he was going to be the fall guy for this. And everyone would get away clean.
Well, yeah, because he was the one guy who had nothing to lose, they figured. He's like, he's not Klingon. What does he care? It's not going to prevent him from making Commander and Starfleet.
Yeah, if he'd just been cordial to Kern the whole time, and Kern would have just left, and Worf wouldn't have known anything about it.
Yeah.
Or they could have just told Worf, hey, we have a diplomatic situation. It'd be easier, since you're not part of our society, to just, run your family name through mud. Why do you care? Are you okay with this?
I mean, he doesn't know it, but Alexander never calls himself Alexander, son of Worf, or, part of the Moog family.
He uses Roshinko.
Yeah, he uses his grandfather's name.
And then he says he's of no house, and he never joins a house.
He joins the House of Martok.
Huh. Yeah, and the
in Deep Space Nine.
That very, very long, that 6-part opener to season 5.
That's where Picard becomes the Chedich, is because Kern is laying on a bed
in pieces. By a coward. See, by a coward. Yeah, it's a.
Son of a traitor.
It'd be easier for Duras to say, yeah, I sent a couple of guys to kill this person. What you gonna do about it?
Because again, it's one of those, everyone would see him as he would lose his family would lose face. Again, it's like, well, everyone would be like, you sent people or you did it? Well, why? If you're this big tough dude you keep claiming to be, why didn't you go and fight Worf?
You may test that assumption.
That's a good bluff by Picard.
He just does it with a very English style, too. At your convenience, good sir.
Well, Picard knows the importance of carrying face. So it's not so much with Klingons, you don't need to follow up on the threat. You just have to talk the talk.
Yeah. But it's like the way he does it in a very polite manner. At your convenience.
No, a Klingon woman was found with Worf.
So did she go into the adoption records or something?
No, probably just the official records.
Yeah, the survivor records.
The adoption records were not correct. They lied to the Roshinkos.
When she was separated from Worf, and after her recovery, she returned home.
We've got to find her if she's still around. Good. Scan the Klingon Central net. See if there's any record of it.
I like this. That it's like the internet is kind of coming into being here in 1990. The central net, scan the central net, and you had at this time.
Yeah, well,
in 1990, no. But you had the internet. You had the ability to, if you had a modem and you knew how to do it, you could get into a lot of sensitive government stuff.
Back then, it was mostly bulletin board systems. So it would be literally one computer and only one computer talking to another.
Yep. They joked about it all the time in Bloom County at the time. They had Oliver getting on there and going into like the missile control and stuff. Well, because War Games had come out several years before this with Matthew Broderick, which was also early stages of the internet.
His admiration for the Romulans, their culture, their women.
Wait, what?
Moog betrayed us.
He's just making shit up about Worf's father now.
It's like, Moog was into, those Romulan ladies.
Yeah. And he had bad teeth.
Yeah.
And their music was great.
Yeah, you don't want to go on Klingon Grindr and be half Romulan because your message box just fills up with 1 million messages the first second.
My nurse. It is possible she was an eyewitness to your father's activities on Kittima, but she died in the attack. No, she survived. She's living in the old...
I love that little sash that Picard's wearing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is.
It's a strap that holds the blade sheath.
Oh, does he have to carry a blade?
Yeah, they gave him
the homeworld.
Yeah, they gave him the ceremony Chadich blade.
Oh, okay.
The same one Kern had, and so it's just a thing that holds it.
I love he puts this cloak on, which.
Well, Klingons, I'm sure, are used to seeing outsiders on the home world.
Not really, no. They're very xenophobic themselves. It's one of those places you just don't visit. Who vacations on Kronos?
I love how he just lets himself into this woman's house. Look, there's the couch to the left there.
What do you want?
Go away! No bald men!
She is way too polite for an old crotchety Klingon lady. I'm sorry. I'm very coffee right now.
You also know that Worf's life is at stake.
I cannot help. You dead. A long time dead.
They basically redid this episode on the Orville with what's his name's child.
Right.
Where they find the
woman in the woods. Yeah.
Served a proud family.
Yeah, they really did a good job rehashing a lot of those concepts.
All that is gone.
Worf is not gone. Family
grew up to be a big boy.
Cannot help.
All of a sudden, I'm thinking of that Queen song with the Naughty Nanny.
No.
Yes.
Was loyal to the Emperor.
Now, didn't she also have a thing with Kempek? I remember her dropping like a very, very subtle hint.
Yes, not even more than that. She was like, Kempek was always chasing her around, and then she drops a bunch of fat insults about her.
Yeah. You don't hear too much fat shaming in Klingon. Well, no, they just like, if you're old and fat, you're dishonorable. Like, everybody wants to die.
Except that opera singer.
Yeah.
That guy's enormous.
Oh, the guy in the restaurant in Deep Space Nine.
But he wasn't old.
Yeah.
I don't know how old he is.
Oh, old enough to not look like this lady.
Yeah, but she could be super old. Klingons live as long as Vulcans do. They'd be hundreds of years old.
Yep. The Daha Master.
She could be almost 300 years old.
I love how they give him a chance to pull out his weapon.
Well, then he completely turns his back on a guy that he already knows has just pulled a knife on him.
Alright guys, we gotta make Patrick Stewart look good, so just let him do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Okay, so this guy pulls a knife on you, what do you do? Well, I'm going to charge it. Okay.
Yeah. Let me just open my arms and run at the blade.
This is a very Shakespearean set right here.
You are brave, Chadish. Brave, but kind of stupid. I mean, you know your way around a sword. You should probably know your way around a dagger.
I like your name, Kalest.
Well, that's why they make the Christ figure of the Klingon history, Kalas.
Kalas. Oh, yeah, there you go. That was a weird episode where they basically bring back Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Lumpy, bumpy Jesus.
So this lady's name is Thelma Lee, if anybody wanted to know.
The evidence is
She used to date Edgar Allan Poe.
Nevermore.
Yeah. Thelma Lee. In our kingdom by the sea.
So the guy who plays Duras, Patrick Sascha, he's actually a screenwriter and producer. He worked on Caprica, of all things.
Caprica. Well, Ronald D. Moore worked on Caprica as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. He partnered up with John Zinman, so he's another writer.
Zin, a violin. I love all these made-up words. We're gonna call it the Makba.
Well, I always wondered, like, at some point before they established the language, did they just ask the actors to say gibberish things that they could pronounce? Just make up a fake word right now, like Quizibo.
I have no reluctance to kill
You're my flubarb.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to hear her evidence?
Very ceremonial.
They might have, but they developed the Klingon language pretty early on.
So this is the problem here, which I mean again,
You can go now.
we don't have time to get into it because the episode has to end and they need to get from point A to point B. But initially, only two people knew about this: Duras and Kempek. But now, Kalish knows, Picard knows, and Worf knows, which really causes a problem.
That's a lot of people.
And then Worf indicates later on that there are members of the other members of the High Council who knew too.
Yeah.
You did not hear my words, and now it's come to this.
Kempek's pissed. He's disappointed more that he's angry that
Why did you judge my father guilty?
it's all coming out right now. This is a conversation they should have opened with.
Had to be blamed. The warriors captured the Romulans.
What I don't understand is why now? What's changed in the Klingon politics where they have to find a person to blame the episode on? Blame the episode on. Blame
No,
the
they blamed
attack
it on. They blamed it on him forever ago. This isn't new. It's just
What's They're going to formalize it.
Yeah, it was for the first time he decided Worf's brother decided he wanted to do something about it.
And here they're now saying that, you know, the truth of this could plunge us into the Civil War, which is really ironic because they had a brief Civil War.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's another thing. You know, all of the participants are dead. I mean, it's more recent history, but it's just like, you know, wanting to get rid of Columbus Day because he was genocidal.
Right.
And people are like, no, he was a great Italian. We're celebrating, you know, the Italianness of it, and it's an insult to Italians to say this. It's like, no, but it's worse to Native Americans that we're holding up this guy that slaughtered all these people personally. It's pretty much the same thing. It's like the principles are dead. It's how people feel about it.
Yeah, I can see that. You admit the truth. I love how Picard is surprised about Kempek is really open about all of this.
Or even more prescient. Let's say somebody was going to become the president of a primarily Native American school, and they found out that person was related to Columbus. And they're like, no, we absolutely will not accept this person. And they're like, it was 600 years ago. Like, not important. The legacy is just going to taint everything.
Yeah. Well, the flip side here is now Picard is formalizing, like, I'm speaking as the captain, you're not going to kill Worf.
Yeah.
And you're not going to take Kern over this political agenda.
I didn't notice until now, Kempek's forehead ridges are just the Decepticon logo. What? Look at it when they show him again.
What?
Oh my god!
Look at that!
Woo! I can't unsee it now.
Yeah.
I love how Worf just like, yeah, I'll fall on the blade for that. He is so quick to die. You ever notice that?
He is.
He's just like, yeah, I'm looking for an honorable way to end.
But if you know guys that are who come from military families and say like wash out at boot camp or whatever, like these are the guys that'd be the first dudes to like, you know, charge an unarmed gunman with the intention of dying, so that people can't go, well, you know, he didn't achieve what
That's really ironic that you used that specific example because it's Kern that charges an armed person in Deep Space Nine to kill himself.
Yeah.
Huh.
Do this in open council.
So Worf has found the next big thing, discommodation. So they're going to formally kick him out of the Empire and strip him of his name and lands and all that yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep Kern's identity a secret.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
What has been said here will never be spoken of again.
Except for the next 16 episodes.
Yeah. Pretty much. Probably not.
What a son.
Because you know how good 5 people are in keeping a secret.
So if you find yourself magically transported to the Klingon universe...
That was a good big stop.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you found yourself transported to the Star Trek universe and you were in the body of an influential Klingon politician, stay away from Worf. Because if you're a politician in the Klingon Empire, you're probably either going to get killed by Worf or you're going to get killed because of something that Worf did.
Your father must someday be cleared. He needs you alive with your honor intact. But to do this, there will be another day.
This is one of the few times where they do follow up on this several times.
But he does here today. Do not let your children.
I am not gonna have kids, dude. Like,
you know, the sad part is that Kern really is the one who suffers all the way through. He is a complete victim to the decisions of Worf. Worf gets to walk away and just like, hey.
Well, exactly what happens is what the council wanted. Worf goes back to his job in the Federation.
But then, of course, everybody in the Empire knows that's the traitor. In fact, I'm surprised there isn't a death mark on him. Where if you see this guy, you can kill him. Kind of reminds me of that 70s show where they're spinning the camera around as they're taking hits off a joint. So his brother turns his back. Worf goes back to the only family he knows, Starfleet.
but they're gonna be like, why did he call that guy brother? That was interesting.
Well, the council, I think, knows this is a formal. We are going to forget everything. That's why they turn around. Wowza!
There you go.
That was a politically heavy episode.
I think a lot of the council's allied with Duras, so the ones who are allied with Duras kind of know something's afoot. And
man, when this came out, it was a snooze fest. I was so bored. I'm bored now.
I can get that because you see Klingons and you think, all right, someone's getting their ass.
Right? And it's Klingons
and
talking.
The only action you see is Picard slicing the bird.
Right? That's the only victim is that meal. So now I look at it today and I'm still pretty bored watching this episode, but there are times when I kind of want to get into the weeds with Worf's story, and that satisfies that very much. And it gives birth to a lot of really fun story arcs. But the actual episode blows chunks.
It's one of those you had to have it in order to.
Yeah, it sets the ball rolling. Had they not followed up with some amazing story arcs, I'd be like, why are we doing this? We don't care. But now that we do, so I mean, for fake stage backhand slaps, I would probably give this about 2 out of 5 backhand fake slaps, just because it doesn't appeal to anything other than my secondhand curiosity. How about you, Matt?
I'm gonna give it 3. Because it's the first time you get to see like the High Council. You see that they have a Chancellor. A little bit of look at how their government works. Granted, it is the most non-violent Klingon episode you will ever see.
And this is the only episode where you see a Klingon being polite to people.
I know, it's like Law and Order Kronos. Essentially is what it is we arrest the guy, we have our Klingon trial, and then in the end it's just one of those, you need like a Klingon Mariska Hargitay to be having a really horrified look on her face as they walk out of the chambers. But no, yeah, it's a talking episode. We're going to stage act. There was no action in it. There was no. I mean, if you wanted to, you could have made it where basically instead of Kern coming in there, you could have basically had the Klingons force their way onto the Enterprise and arrest Worf and drag him off. That would have been action filled.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good. We've actually seen other Star Trek episodes where they had a legal warrant to capture this person. They just didn't bother to tell anybody about it.
The Cardassians do it to O'Brien in Deep Space Nine.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the thing is they could have done where Worf's goes to meet someone somewhere and they kidnap. I mean, they could have added some action to it to bring it in there. It was, but again, they needed this episode to set up some really good episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Mr. Pat.
Yeah, too. It was I wanted to watch The Offspring, a bunch of times before we reviewed it. This one I was like, I've watched The Offspring twice. Maybe I should revisit Sins of the Father. No, I'm not going to be doing that.
Yeah. Jen?
Yeah, probably a 2, because I don't know the episodes that are coming up, so I don't know what it's setting up, and so I found this really boring, and I think I've come to the conclusion that out of all of the cultures that are presented on Star Trek, that I'm the least interested in Klingon culture, because it's all war and glory and honor and politics, and it's all the stuff that makes me roll my eyes. Like, I can't stand that. Mm-hmm. Because it all comes from power, and I don't like shows about power struggles and war and, killing people. Like, that's just not my jam. And there was no human... I feel like there was really no human interest in there except for Picard. Like, that's the only thing that was the saving grace for me here.
And that was a little weird because for a hot second he looked really out of place.
Right.
Doing what he was doing.
Yeah. But yeah, I just am not interested in all the Klingon stuff. So, yeah, 2.
Yep,
maybe even
2.
A 1.5.
Well, if you're just as disappointed as we are, please write into the show at nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com, and also make sure to check out our collection of Shore Leave movie reviews on the Two True Freaks Network. And with that, we thank you for listening to us, and have a wonderful day.
Why am I interviewing you guys?
So you're the guest.
So Sascha, what is Star Trek
Hi,
Next Generation?
I am the guest.
So Sascha, what is Star Trek Next Generation?
Seek us out at Next Generation's First Generation at iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Music credits include Electric Car by Poddington Bear, Broke for Free, As Colorful as Ever, Glass Android by Lee Rosevere, Drops of H2O by Jay Lang. Audio engineering by Sascha Shouties. Chief Meme Maker and episode cover credit goes to Matthew Kirschner. Logo and graphic art design credit goes to David Clawwitter. And special thanks to Patrick Delmore for working with other podcasts to make sure the good word gets out.
Do you have a podcast that you think people should be listening to? Send us your promos and we'll play them on the show. If you'd like to email the show, you can email us at nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. I've been Patrick Delmore.
And this is Sascha Shouties. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.
Good night.